Hello, this is Dread from Epic Builds. In today's video topic, we'll go over Fire Crit Hungering Souls Lich, a sick visual for a mediocre skill. Before we get into the video, if you enjoyed the video, I suggest liking and commenting, as that's the best way to tell YouTube that I am doing a good job. Hungering Souls has a long history. It is one of the oldest skills in the game, and because of this, it is generally regarded as bad, which is true. It is one of the worst skills at Acolyte's disposal, but thanks to Death Seal, it has been given new life. As you can see, our Death Seal makes us fire off twice as many Hungering Souls as normal, allowing the single fire Hungering Soul playstyle to manifest. Normally, this build would lack severely on clear speed, as since it's a one projectile per cast, you can't really clear well with it. But thanks to Bone Curse and the one node that makes it so there's a 25% chance to explode with physical damage to nearby enemies, it allows us to clear trash a lot easier than before. This, on top of how many souls we can pump out thanks to our cast speed, almost solves all of our clear issues. The main fault of this build, as with almost all Lich builds now, is when you are out of Lich form and on cooldown for Death Seal, you feel like a paper towel in comparison to when you have both of them up. But when everything is up and going, you can see the large amount of soul spam. It is rather satisfying, especially thanks to the updated fire visuals on Hungering Souls. If a dev is watching this, I think the best way to make Hungering Souls feel a lot better, at least the single soul version, give us a node that allows us to pierce enemies, as that could easily fix most of our clear issues instantly. The biggest problem I have with the build is the lack of skill points inside Hungering Souls tree. It's hard to grab everything important, and even with a +2 to Hungering Souls, it is still impossible to grab everything you want. This is due to the old skill design in last Epoch had about a half a year ago, where a lot of the skills would have large amounts of point dumps, where you put 5+ points into a single skill to get the benefit of it, along with large amounts of travel nodes. Now, in the recent design, it seems they avoid this trap a lot better, so I believe when Hungering Souls eventually gets reworked, maybe they take this into consideration. Sadly, this underperforms in comparison to other Lich builds, and if you want to play the best of the best for Monolith farming, at least where Lich is concerned, I would suggest playing the other version, Arborist's Monolith Runner, as that is better for overall gameplay. But if you like Hungering Souls and you like the visuals, I couldn't see why not you could spend an afternoon having fun with Flaming Skulls of Doom. With that being said, let's get into the video, shall we? Here we are in game with the build. So we are just, spamming Flaming Souls. I like this build, don't get me wrong. Now, would I suggest said build? Not unless you actually want to play the build. So it feels very fun when you have your Death Seal up. It feels really fun. Obviously, when Reaper forms up, it's fine. And thanks to the low cooldown of Death Seal, it's pretty much fine to play. The problem is, since these souls, they don't pierce enemies, what happens is you'll have like a piece of trash, stop it, and bam, you won't be killing that rare that's behind them, right? So thankfully, we can solve this by just spamming out more souls. And also thanks to Death Seal to spam out even more souls. Now, that's fine and dandy. It works, right? There's nothing wrong with that. It's just, like I said, it's not for everyone. Yeah, let's get into the rotation. So the rotation is Death Seal into just spamming Hungering Souls, cast your Bone Curse every other pack so that you can get the explosion benefit. Also, so of course, make sure that you have 3 skeletons up at once, because that's a large majority of our damage. So you want to always make sure that you have your 3 skeletons up. It is a little bit hard to keep them up, but if you have a little bit of a minion HP like I have, it's kind of okay to keep them up. Obviously, when you're like fighting big packs of monsters, make sure to summon them away from you so that, obviously they take a second to actually get to the fight. One issue I have with them is the fact that they just run in. Now, one thing we can solve with this is if we go over to Mightier Than the Sword, we drop all 5 nodes in more Necrotic Conviction, and we grab Mightier Than the Sword. This will make the skeletons actually shoot at range, which might actually be the best for us. Yeah, let's get into the skill, shall we? So for Hungering Souls itself, I don't have a +2. I was not blessed with it with my playtime. We have a 1 point travel into Necrotic Pact, although the base Necrotic is nice. 1 point into Isolation. It makes it so we can only summon one soul. Also as well, idols that say chance to fire extra projectiles, including this node, will not give you extra projectiles, which is very sad, but it's just how it is. Of course, 1 point into Great Soul gives us 25% more damage. We really don't like the fact that it's increasing our mana cost, but it's travel up to Fire Skull. Now, the whole reason we are going with fire instead of necrotic is literally just because 50% more hit damage. That's it. That's the only reason we're fire over anything else. You know, more damage is that strong that you'll literally go against the grain of like necrotic damage and Lich just to get the 50% more damage because it's that strong. So, other than that, we take 3 points into Piercing Gaze. This allows us to run an Oracle Staff instead of a one-handed and a Catalyst, which means we can actually, you know, do damage because the adaptive flat on our Oracle Staff is well worth the cost of 3 points on the skill tree. Then 3 points into Gravebound. Eventually, if you have +2, you'll probably want extra point into this. So it's 60% more damage. You just need to control one minion for this one. And of course, the whole node, the whole build's built around Unholy Trinity. Souls deal more damage if you have exactly 3 minions. How do we do this? Well, thanks to skeletons, and since we're Lich, we only have a max of 3 skeletons to begin with. So even if I try to summon more skeletons, I will never go over 3, meaning no matter what, as long as I press the button, I will always instantly be at 3, and we'll always have the damage benefit. Most of your playtime with this build is to make sure that you have your minions up so that you can keep doing damage. It's a lot of maintenance. And that's pretty much it for Hungering Souls. Like I said, if we had +2, I would grab 1 point into Grave Bond, then probably 1 point into Great Soul. Then for Skeleton, this is like your stereotypical kind of utility skeleton setup. Main thing is we summon 3 of them. We just want to summon 3 of them per cast, so that's why we have Empty the Graves. Then of course we want the mana efficiency so that it doesn't cost that much mana to do so, because we do want to be mana efficient. One thing I would try is take all 5 points out of Necrotic Conviction and then put it into Mightier of the Sword so that they're only ranged minions so that they don't get into the fight, which might actually be better for us. And of course, like the mana gained on death is nice so that, you know, it pays for themselves. Of course, the increased spell damage is nice because we are still a spell damage build, which is nice. Having an extra 100% more damage. 100% increased damage. That's nice. Then for Death Seal here, this is like just as important as Hungering Souls. So of course we have this stereotypical utility setup over here. Of course we had the same thing over here, but the main difference is we're utilizing Hungering Souls. You now release a single Hungering Soul every second while you're sealed, a spell dealing necrotic damage, so whenever we pop it, we get a bunch of Hungering Souls. Now this follows your skill tree. What's really nice though is the fact that we can grab frequency as well, so we can actually shoot out a lot more than once per second. What is it? It's like 160, so I believe it's like every third of a second, I believe. I think that's like how much it is. And it's, as you can tell, it's a lot of damage because it's a lot of souls. It's not like insane amounts of damage, but it's like good enough to like nuke down Orbis pretty much before he kills you. That's pretty much it with that. Then for Reaper form, this is your stereotypical like damage setup. There's nothing really different here than all your other Reaper setups. Then for Bone Curse, the main thing that's important with Bone Curse is to grab Cursed Limbs so that when you cast it, as long as you're hitting stuff with Hungering Souls, you get extra bone curses, which is important because it reapplies it for this node, Acute Affliction, so you deal 30% more damage as well. And also as well, we do want to get the Marrow Thief as well because it gives us a chance on kill so that we can actually get some bone armor, which is nice, which is just reduced damage taken. Since we're not running a transplant, we can't get that otherwise. And of course, Ruptured Corpse is the main reason why we're utilizing Bone Curse. Now, I have no idea how much damage this actually does, but from what I've seen, if I have Death Seal up and Reaper Form up, it will generally one-shot a pack, like explode a pack if I hit enough, which is nice. This helps a lot in terms of clear, main reason why we're using Bone Curse. And that's pretty much it for the skills this time. Now for the gearing, idols, mainly you want to be, this is like your perfect idol. Obviously you want better rolls, but this is your perfect idol. You want 2 of these. I don't have 2 of them, obviously, because, you know, I'm not lucky. Now, of course, crit chance HP idols are pretty nice. Then you can either run vitality idols or you can run even more spell damage while at low life. Either way, both of them work. That's pretty much it for the idols. Now, I am running a blue oracle staff, and that's because the suffixes, like, sure, you could run chill and you could run slow. Like, other than that, it doesn't really matter for us. So just having a T10 prefix is all that matters. Having more cast speed and crit chance is really good for us. Then, of course, the helmet, crit chance, minion health, HP, endurance. Obviously, there will be a planner in the description that'll help you figure out what exactly to run, as my gear's kind of like messed up, as you can tell. The amulet, spell crit, either spell crit and then eventually mana regen instead of that crit multi. The reason why is when you get +2, you'll want to grab this extra 25% more damage, but it'll make it so your souls cost a little bit more. Which the problem with that is if you don't have enough mana regen, you can't sustain your souls. So you'll probably want to eventually grab mana regen there instead of crit multi, and you'll be able to spam even more bigger, more heavy damaging souls. Then for the chest, vitality, minion health, HP. The reason why we want minion health is so that when we summon minions, we don't want them to instantly die, which is nice because especially against Oribus, it's kind of annoying. Then for the ring, let me look here. Yeah, my rings are pretty messed up. Probably crit, mana regen, resistance, same thing on the other side. For the belt, this is your perfect belt. One thing I would do is instead of the mana regen, when you do swap out mana regen here, you could run minion health here instead, or you can run minion health on the amulet as well. Run a little bit more minion health, in my opinion. I would be happy with around like 450-ish minion health. That would about be how much I'm happy with, as that would be enough to make it so your skeletons don't instantly die all the time. Because one of the nice things is, since they're very expendable, all you have to do is just press a button and they're back, right? So it's not that bad. Not that bad at all. Now, of course, cast speed, crit chance, HP. I like the Noble Glove base, but you could probably run the Void Res base and get away with it. And of course, I'm just using my boots again. This is perfect. Other than, like, this is perfect. You don't even need tier whatever. What is it? T6 on the HP. You don't even need that. Probably crit avoidance instead. And of course, this is pretty much perfect. Cast speed, mana regen. It's a pretty good base for us since we're fire damage. The increased damage is really nice. And of course, resistance. Like I said, pretty bad gear, as you can notice. Like, really bad gear. The planner will help you out on that. And for skills, which I forgot, passive skills, which I forgot. So we take 8 points into Forbidden Knowledge for the intelligence and the resistance, mainly the resistance. 5 points into Dark Rituals. This makes it so that every 10 seconds, whenever we summon our skeletons, it gives us cast speed, which is nice because we want as much cast speed as possible. 1 point travel into Blood Aura. 5 points into Blood Pact for just the increased damage, because you want as much damage as humanly possible, because this is pretty much what you would call a glass cannon. Then as much HP as possible from Stolen Vitality. This is really nice as well because it gives our minions HP as well. And of course, 10 points in Apocrypha gives us increased damage while also giving us mana regen. 8 points into Survival of the Cruel gives us spell damage, leeches life. Since we're casting spells, this is leech for us. And of course, the HP. Then 8 points to Dance with Death. Most of the time, whenever Death Seal is up, we are always in this kind of like setup. So we definitely want as much increased damage as possible with that setup. And of course, 8 points into Bed of Souls for just the HP, which is nice. 8 points into Unclosing Wounds, which is just a lot of increased damage. We do have a node inside Death Seal that turns off our drain when we're in Death Seal, which is pretty nice. And of course, 5 points into Deathbringer for the crit chance and the cast speed. 5 points in Dark Guard for even more crit chance. We don't care about the ward at all because in Death Seal we can't gain ward, so it doesn't matter. Then eventually 10 points in Necrotic Energy. Yes, we are fire damage, but a lot of our percentages and more damages are like generic. So we just want as much flat as humanly possible. So that's why we grab flat here. And of course, 5 points of Clairvoyant Insight for extra crit multi. 5 points into Ageless Ascetic for cast speed, movement speed, and the damage leech is health on hit, which is really nice because we're always hitting. And of course, 5 points to Soul Maw for even more leech. And then, of course, eventually you'll want 10 points into Mind Over Body for even more intelligence, which is just generic increased damage, which works for all of our damage. And that's pretty much it for the passive tree here. And with that being said, thank you all for watching. Have a wonderful rest of your day wherever you're at, and bye.